fine. Fuck it.
All right, we're rolling.
Which one is it
Hopefully,
again?
Who's starting off? I'm gonna do it so I
Good. Welcome back to Vitality Check. Happy to report that 2 or 3 of us know that it's St. Patrick's Day today. There's always one.
Yeah.
In post edit, we'll add you
Yeah.
something green.
Yeah, a little leprechaun on your shirt.
Right.
I
A
heard
pot of gold.
I have green underwear on actually.
you do.
Okay. Excellent.
So
Excellent. Now we all know.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
you're welcome.
Yeah.
You are welcome.
All right, guys. So as part of our latest men's health initiative,
Mm.
I figured today we would tackle a subject that, that I think is getting more and more traction on in the world these days.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a lot of traction.
Men's
No,
health. For a while, we weren't allowed to talk about men's health. I
Well,
guess.
and I mean the specific topic
Oh, okay.
of
That's what you mean.
that's what I meant. Yes, that.
E.T.
No,
Oh.
no, not that. No, yeah, I think it's we're going to talk about weight training, weightlifting.
Oh.
There's been a lot of recent authors writing books on longevity, like Dr. Peter Attia, his book called Outlive, and Dr. Gabrielle Lyon with her book Forever Strong, where they focus a lot on the importance of maintaining and building muscle mass throughout our lifetimes, with regards to many health benefits, including longevity. So, as part of our men's health initiative here at Vitality, we had a women's health series that's still ongoing, and it's our job as the men here to
Right.
follow suit and come up
Quietly
with,
talk about it in the back room.
exactly,
Yeah.
and do our part. So, so I think today we can talk about the importance of weightlifting and its resurgence and why it's been on the forefront of a lot of social media stuff that we follow. A lot of these guys and women are talking about the same things, right? So about the importance of having a lot of muscle mass to combat aging and to live a healthier life, and
It's probably the predictor of age, right? We're saying is strength and muscle mass, right?
Mm-hmm.
So often misconstrued with cardiovascular health, which is also important. We're not diminishing, cardio, but when we actually look at the research, I think it's weight training that gives you, as you said, your most bang for your buck. So that's what we're going to focus on today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, yes. So, there's 3 main things, right? We want to think about when we think about strength training throughout our lifetime, and number 1 being kind of the decreasing your risk or decreasing the progression of sarcopenia. So the muscle loss, right? And this is something that happens to all of us as we get older. Typically, we in our 40s and 50s will start to see there's a progression where we start to slowly, naturally lose our muscle mass unless you intervene and you make weightlifting a part of your day-to-day life or daily life. So, you can see it, right? If you see a lot of older...
my tiny right leg.
Yeah, exactly. Because of your
Tiny
emaciated hip.
Tiny.
So good example.
Yeah.
Right? Not using something as much because of pain in this case a right hip. That will be operated on soon.
2 weeks today.
2 weeks today, boys.
Ooh.
But yeah, a noticeable difference in like the size of the right thigh versus even the butt on that side. It's like crazy, like how much muscle mass you lose. Use it.
Don't
lose
use it. Yeah.
You lose it, right?
Of course.
So there
You don't know.
You
what
don't
you
know
don't
what you don't know. Ask Sean.
Yeah.
But you can see that a
He
lot,
knows.
like in the geriatric population, right? If you look at them when they're
How
if
dare
they're
you?
if they
How
well,
dare you.
just calling a spade a
How
spade.
dare you?
No, you can see it though, right? And sometimes as they age, and if it's in someone who's naturally lean, you'll just see how much muscle wasting is there. And
Yeah.
it's you literally see skeleton with very very little lean muscle mass.
I don't know the stat, but it's per decade. I think it's like
37%.
10. Well, I think it's like 10% per decade or something like that. Maybe less.
A little less, I think.
1% per decade.
No, it's more than that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Don't quote me. You can look it up if you like. I was going to say like 3%,
I'll be
3%,
the
3 to
Jamie.
5%.
I'll be the Jamie from
Google it.
From
Google it. It could be. It could be. It's. I know it's. It's
Let's guess.
definitely. I say 3 to 5.
17%.
That's a lot. That means in like 3
What-
decades you've
what do we
lost
question?
51%.
What do we question?
Your muscle
much is lost?
muscle loss per decade.
All right.
Oh.
According to Google's AI, As people age, they naturally experience a decline in muscle mass known as sarcopenia. Jay, you got it right.
Ooh, good for you,
Yeah.
Jay. That was a big word.
Typically losing around 3 to 5% of muscle mass per decade, starting in their not just 40s, their 30s.
Wow.
30s.
Yeah, 30s. So
Wow.
I can
you-
read a book.
you're right. The most important thing is lifting weights as we age is to prevent sarcopenia.
Yeah.
To prevent, and if you're stronger, right? This is one of my teachers used to say this all the time. He goes, "Our role here is to withstand gravity for as long as we possibly can. We all eventually lose. We get pulled into the earth. That's kind of the pun in all this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the stronger you are, the longer you can withstand gravity.
Right.
And so,
Well, it's
and the
interesting.
only way to do that is by strength training, lifting weights,
Resistance.
Yeah.
Go in the resistance.
resistance.
And I think it's in Dr. Atia's book that he extrapolates a lot, saying like, let's say you have I like how he does that. A lot of people want to stay young want to stay active and healthy so they can play with their grandkids and do different things. And they have a cottage that has 80 steps down to the lake, and they want to be able to do those steps at 80 years old. And they actually have like these formulas they can put in place saying, okay, you're currently 50, and you got to start now to be able to do that at 80. And they'll have benchmarks saying, well, if you want to do that at 80, then at 50 you should be able to do X.
Excellent.
Like they've really kind of
Yeah.
nailed that down, which I think is brilliant, because you can't. It's never too late to start. We'll cover that later. However, if you know there's certain things you want to do, that means at this age you have to be able to do so much. And
Yeah.
I think that's really neat how he does that.
I read a cool stat. This is actually crazy. When they looked at how many people in the U.S. In the United States actually strength train, and it was something shocking. So, out of 350 million people, I think there were about 50 million that had gym membership. Okay, so 50. So already you're coming down. Now listen, they're just going off the stat. Out of the 50 million gym memberships, there was something like 10% of those were active. This is actually crazy, right? And then out of that, it was so out of the 10%
5 million now.
5 million,
Point.
only 4% lifted weights, right? So people would do, I mean, listen, cardio or yoga or,
Yeah.
but it was something shocking that when you went down,
Talking.
that the percentage of the population,
How it dwindled.
it dwindled
Yeah.
to actually strength training or lifting weights. So, it is literally the fountain of youth, right?
Well,
Exercise.
It
is
makes
the fountain
sense.
of youth.
No, most people don't want to go and do something that's not comfortable,
Exactly.
right?
Absolutely.
And this is one of the main things about strength training is basically the more you go in, well, within reason. Obviously, you don't want to do something too heavy that's going to make you hurt yourself, but you do want to push the limit to actually create a change in the physical matter, right? So
100%.
it's the complete opposite of training your mind.
Yeah.
You go in the resistance to build your body, but you go out of it to train your mind. That's kind of cool.
Mm.
Full circle.
Just full circle. Circle of life,
Circle of life.
of life.
right?
Yeah.
So
what's the second,
second thing is bone health, right? So, and something that men don't always
Milk.
talk about
A
is
lot of milk.
drink a lot of milk. What a lot of men don't talk about too, I think, is our risk for osteoporosis. We certainly know it's more prevalent in women, but it does occur in men as well. So, yeah, having healthy muscle mass or a healthy amount of muscle mass decreases the risk of fracture in general.
Yeah.
Because, like Sean, I think you were kind of getting onto that point earlier, saying just with more muscle mass, we can be more active and we help prevent other injuries, including fractures, and decreases our risk of osteoporosis. So, for those of you unaware of osteoporosis, is essentially usually coincides with aging as well, where the density of your bone becomes more brittle, less strong, and you're at a much higher risk of fracture.
And
So,
that has to do it's directly proportional to the weight that you resist. Exactly what you're saying. So like when you apply force and resist weight regularly, it strengthens the bone. And I don't know if it's Wolff's law or Davis law, right? Which is the bone will respond. And we see these in osteoarthritic conditions as well. If there's improper joint mechanics and they get wear and tear, they'll lay down bone to reinforce. It's
Yeah.
like a catch-22, right?
Yeah.
But but if you have proper biomechanics and you're lifting weights regularly, the bone itself will remodel and restructure itself, and that's the opposite of the osteoporosis, right? So,
And
and
that's
that's
Wolff's law. The body reacts
Wolff's
to
law,
stresses you
right?
impose
Davis law
impose
was the
upon it.
callus, the tissue law, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, it's Wolff's law.
Yeah.
So, and that's like you have that available to you. Everyone, it doesn't matter what age you are, you have that available to you where you can, when you resist force, you will restructure and improve the quality of your bone. So that's really cool.
It is cool. It's also cool because I feel like I've read recent literature where I remember being taught that, to decrease your risk of osteoporosis is always like load bearing, weight bearing activities, right? Squats
Yep.
and running, anything that pounded that
Jumping.
got it. But
Yeah.
now I think some of the research is showing it doesn't
Vibration.
have to be that. You
Yeah.
can actually just do bands and do resistance bands, because they were saying that the science is that our muscles are levers, right? They have two attachment
Levers.
points on,
Yeah.
on two different parts of bone, and the muscle pulling on the bone, contracting your muscle, is the stimulus that you were talking about to provide your bone to lay down more density
Yeah.
to withstand that force. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
that's
get
a big change in the
gravitational
last 10
force
years.
and you get the tension forces of the
Tends to-
levers.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's great.
Decreasing the amount of wear and tear too that we thought you had to put on a particular joint.
On your
Let's
joints
say.
for
Yeah.
sure. You don't necessarily have to do that deep
Yep.
squat and,
Yeah.
and to get the same kind of results.
Yeah, and I think like you say, it's if you're new to this stuff, make sure you start slowly, right? But you do need to progressively overload and to, add weight as you become stronger, right?
Of course, novel stimulus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you mean, keep progressing.
Keep progressing, 100%.
Obviously, you're gonna
Keep challenging
probably
yourself.
reach a limit.
That's
at some
coming
point.
up, but you can. Yeah, you will reach the limit. Absolutely. That's when you
Right.
first go in, if you were really committed to training and went, 3-4 times a week, you'll make some pretty great gains consistently
Right.
over a time period of probably 2 to 3 years, and then that progression will slow down.
Then you got to
Yeah.
stimulate it in different ways, right?
Yeah. So I guess another key thing to look at as far as weight training is its ability to help improve our metabolism and to help keep our body fat kind of in check, right? So we've probably most people have heard that concept that muscle weighs more than bone, or muscle weighs more than fat. It also just burns more. So the idea with weightlifting is, and sometimes when people get into this, people can become apprehensive because there might be an initial small weight gain until they start to burn more calories at rest because of muscle. And that's why we'll talk about compound lifting later. But the more muscle you have, lean muscle mass, the more energy that you consume at rest. So you can literally be sleeping at night. And if you have a higher lean body mass, then you will burn more at rest, basal metabolic rate, than you will if you're, if you have less muscle mass.
The biggest endocrine gland, actually, Dr. Gabrielle Lyon talks about this, is your skeletal muscle. It's like the largest endocrine gland in your body, right? And
That's neat.
it's completely overlooked, right?
Absolutely.
And it will work in, it's a symphony orchestra. It will work in relation to all the other muscles, organs, and glands, right, in the system, if it's, taken care of. So
Yeah, if there's like constant work being done
Yeah.
there, and which makes sense too on the front of losing weight. Like people ask all the time, I don't understand. I've been working out, I've been moving more, I'm eating better, and I'm not losing weight. Well, it's a lot of it has to do with some people will work out and do the weight training and feel a significant amount of stress reduction, right? So that in itself too, getting your nervous system under balance is when the metabolism starts to kind of synchronize itself better, and then you have better hormonal control and things like that. So that's when people will start to actually lose weight even more, have better sleep, have better all the.
Absolutely, because a lot of those things took time to develop. So
Yeah.
sometimes the muscle might be coming, and most likely their composition is changing. It's not changing on the scale, but yes, it needs to be done consistently over time for them maybe to get that. It's a later benefit to come than the improved sleep, increased energy, all that kind of stuff for sure. Okay, so why don't we talk about a few like do's? Like if you're someone who's not into weight training, like what are some of the do's we want to look at? Like these are things you must do, or things you should be trying to get some of these benefits, right? I think first, we talked about it briefly, is the easy one is focus on the compound lifts, right? So the pressing, the squats, the deadlifts.
Don't be afraid of those things, right? Obviously, if you have any, like we say, any limitations to these things, any injuries, consult your local healthcare providers, right? Ask us if you need help with referrals or whatnot, but make sure you have proper range of motion, and then you can always work technique, right?
Okay.
You can always work around these compound lifts as well, and there's skill, right? There's skill too. There's learning, there's adaptation. So yeah, but definitely focusing on these compound lifts is going to give you a higher return on your investment.
Absolutely. I mean, first thing first, we should be telling people that if you're going to start weight training, you've never done it before, you should be getting clearance from your doctor, right?
Yes.
You're doing a PARQ questionnaire and making sure you're, physically able to do it. That's part one, I guess.
Yeah.
But then certainly from that point on, and Kev, you're right, technique's a big part of that as well. Like if you don't have good technique on some of these compound lifts, they can get dangerous. Some of them involve having a significant amount of weight over your head or on your shoulders. Yes, technique plays a huge role in that. In fact, I listened to something, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember who did it. Talks about the perfect push-up. Actually, this was geared more towards towards youth, but this gentleman was saying that he doesn't think a youth should even do bench press at all until they can do 50 consecutive push-ups without rest and a 1 minute, or what he calls a perfect push-up, because of the fact that there's just so much technique involved that you can get hurt, and it's more strain your joints than doing, let's say, body weight activated stuff. So technique is probably underthought of.
Start slow, like we say. Start light. Learn these patterns. Learn these movements.
Yeah, it's
Seek out help. Right.
100%.
It's harder to change a technique too if you've learned something badly.
Learn
at
behaviors.
a lighter weight, and then you start adding weight to it. And well, one, like you said, that's the potential of getting hurt. But then two, it's unlearning that. To start again is quite difficult. So it's better to do it right from the get go and
Absolutely.
try
It's
and
like a
build.
golf swing.
Yep.
Right? Your grip's incorrect or your swing plane's off, and
Yeah.
once you start getting muscle memory in the poor way to do it, it's much more difficult to change afterwards.
And your body will learn how to recruit appropriately the
Yeah.
muscles as it's moving through time and space, right? Or as it's moving learning these exercises, right? So, like we say, consult with a really good professional strength and conditioning specialist. There's some amazing trainers here in our community. If you guys need help accessing one, just drop us a comment or don't hesitate to write. But yeah, definitely the compound lifts will give you, it'll save you time, right? Because you're hitting multiple muscle groups at once.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should define it because I don't think we said why. So go ahead.
So a compound lift would be like as Jason said, if you're listening, you can look these up. But like deadlifts, squats, lunges, right? They're presses, pull-ups. They are movements that incorporate multiple muscle groups through different ranges of motion, and usually working within a plane or a range of motion. So
Exactly. As opposed to like an isolation one, like doing like just a bicep curl
Yeah.
or a hamstring curl, which targets, and they're great at recruiting that one muscle. But the idea of doing a compound movement is to recruit many muscles at the same time. You got to think of your muscles as almost like furnaces, and they're the incinerator that's going to keep your metabolism running high, and they're burning energy at rest. So think of like your quads, your hamstrings, your glutes, your big muscles. The more you can get those activated in training, the more you're burning at rest, as opposed to the small little accessory movements.
It's like the battery packs of the body.
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
All right, and then let's talk about consistency. If number one is doing compound lifts, number two would be that you have to train
Once a month.
yes,
Twice.
twice. Yes,
New biohacking science says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin's biohacking.
Kevin has
science.
lost 17% muscle mass this decade.
Yeah. Gonna take a while to catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I mean, this can differ, especially because there's many different workout programs, which we could definitely have a guest on at some point to walk through those at a later time. But most research will say at least 3 times a week.
Yeah.
What if you do like the Gene Simmons workout? Like, is that how many times a week would that be?
That's
That
6.
actually, so that's interesting. That Gene Simmons would probably, as we're looking at now,
Hold on.
not be enough to warrant a change, right? A stimulus. It'd be good for
Cardio.
cardiorespiratory, right? But it wouldn't be the
You
compound.
wouldn't be building like muscle going on.
Heart muscle. Yes.
Exactly.
You get some, right? But you you're not doing progressive overload.
Listen, anything is better than nothing,
guarantee.
right? Start somewhere, and then, but we definitely, like we say, we want to focus on everyone should be lifting weights. I think that's the message we want to get out, today. And then compound movements and consistency. So minimum 3 times a week, right?
Plus now there's like almost no excuse because there's so much access to these things.
Oh my
online,
goodness,
right?
yeah.
Like there's so many videos on doing all those like HIIT type workouts,
Exactly.
Yep.
to anything like that, which again involves a lot of those compound movements and using full body activity and stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Generally on a 3-day a week cycle, you're looking at 3 full day workouts, right?
Yep.
So people, when they lift more,
All
they might
day.
get into
Train all day.
train all day. No, just
Full
full
body?
bodies,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like they're
Yeah.
training like muscle groups from head to
Ah.
toe, as opposed to people do splits that might do, let's say, 4 days a week or more. They'll do splits often, 2
Like
upper, 2 lower.
chest, bro.
Yeah,
And then
chest, bro.
That you can do, yeah,
You've been
exactly.
on
Back and shoulders.
chest, bro.
Yeah.
Twice a month.
say this fluff is bothering me. Oh, there you go.
Should have muted my mic.
Yeah.
And then maybe one other is making sure, just looking at your diet. So, most of us, when we start to lift weights, we start to watch what we put in our mouth more, and vice versa. We start to eat better, and we start to maybe get our 10,000 steps in, or do more exercise. But it's just making sure you have adequate protein
right.
in your diet to support muscle growth. So lots of literature.
What does
out
that
there on
look like? Yeah.
Well, the research is out. It's all different. I mean, it's not really my scope, I guess. My dietitian wife would be on me for even trying to recommend. But a lot of these authors are
text her right now.
yeah, a lot of the most the recent authors, like we mentioned before, are recommending people aim for roughly 1 gram of protein per desired pound of body weight. So if you are currently 200-pound male and you would like to weigh 180 pounds, then they would recommend to eat 180 grams of protein per day as your goal, as your target. Most people, if they're not trying, are way under.
Mm-hmm.
And you would probably be fine. And even them in their books and their podcasts will say, listen, that's what they're going for. I would say they'd probably be happy with 130 to 150. But I think most people, if they're not really focused on it, are probably well under 100.
Yeah. Protein is the building block of muscle, right? So the amino acids, and then protein. The biggest thing is it's satiating, right?
Exactly.
So it's actually again, when we talk about endocrine response, right? Protein is blood sugar stabilizing and satiating versus if you're to fill up on carbs, which are stimulate the insulin response and or potentially increase cravings and not as satisfying, right? So protein for sure. If you focus your meals, and then there are even other, like you say, the detail